Da, 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 da. Hey, da, 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 da. Hey, da, da, da. Ladies and gentlemen, KocoSports.com proudly presents Wrestle AM. It's half wrestling show, half morning show, pretty much all BS. And of course, you got the Coco crew here holding it down live. Yours truly, sexiest man on all Internet Wrestling Radio. That's right, Boom Boom here, shaking the room live from the RVA, Richmond, Virginia. And of course, join me there, way across the pond on the outskirts of Tokyo, Japan, the man who has 47 noise complaints and counting, Dave Coco.
Dude, it was so funny. Normally, we'd always start the podcast instantly. I was actually got a little nervous twitch. I was like, "Oh man, should we jump off the plane? Should we jump off the plane? What's going on, guys?" This is gonna be titled "Give It Time." We got a lot of questions about one topic.
Yep.
The one topic is, where the fuck are you guys? That is the topic. We got a lot of them. When are we coming back full time? We don't know. When can we do the stream? We don't know. When can we do the podcast? We don't know. Boom Boom, even though Steve Carino's in the air, Boom Boom works full time at, a newscaster. Like, newscasters don't get off no matter how big of an emergency it is. I'm a teacher. I started streaming. I fell in love with it. I've been doing a lot of video games. And I don't have much time to watch pro wrestling. And I'm always like 2-3 weeks behind, So with time zones, with racist neighbors, we have to do this at a certain time. So basically, we have time zones where we're both working crazy jobs, and also my neighbor is racist and calls the cops and noise complaints and all that. So a lot of stuff is in our way. Booms, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, our schedule's, crazy because, right now, I think with the time change right now, me and Dave Coco are only 12 hours apart.
Woohoo!
So there's that. So yeah, there's some positivity there. Yes, I work a full-time job. Coco allegedly works. Um, and it's just difficult to try to, get schedules synced up, and put things together. Yeah, COVID's, kind of turned everything on its head here. The only reason I'm able to do this right now is because I took this weekend off. I begged for a weekend off because I've just been, the last time I took an off day was I took off the weekend, the first week of January so I could watch Wrestle Kingdom. That was the last time I've taken any time off from work. And I finally said, yeah, guys, I need a break. I just need a weekend off. Let me just recharge my battery. So it just happened to luck out. And here I am. Dave Coco only has a limited amount of time that he can stream because, he reached a deal because, he was podcasting, he was streaming, doing all this. Well, his neighbors kept calling the cops on him, kept, reporting him for noise complaints. And then Coco was like, Booms, I think my neighbors are racist. And I was like, well, why do you say that? I was like, making noise, that's not a racial thing. He was like, yeah, but they called the cops on me and said I was making noise when I wasn't even at home.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I think maybe, yeah, there's a problem there. So he reached a deal where he cannot stream past 9 p.m. I think it's Japan Standard Time.
Yeah.
And that greatly limits because limits to when, we can try. So it was already a narrow window to begin with. And now it's even more narrow. Yeah. And Coco has built up a following up on Twitch. And so he streams on there. And even Dave Coco will tell you that doing Twitch is so much easier because you don't have to watch anything. You just turn on your PS4, you log on, and then boom, that's it. That's the show. You don't have to watch anything. You don't have to react to anything. You don't have to worry about missing anything. You just do that. And and then some of the questions are going to swing back to me. It's like, well, Boom Boom, why don't you do the podcast? Why don't you do why don't you do some of the shows? Well, to that I would say, I don't mind doing that. I would love to do that, but let's just be honest. Nobody tunes into this show just to hear me. And anytime I have done a solo show just to kind of get some news out there, just to get it on the record, the views and stuff and hits aren't really anything to brag about, and it's like, I don't want to waste your time. So I love doing this with Dave. He's my partner. He's my best friend. And I'm going to keep doing this with him as long as I can. Now, things have changed, and we're not going to be able to do it as frequently, but we're still going to do it. Now, as far as like trying to get like substitutes and stuff, we've been down this road before. We have asked people to like come join the network, come do podcasting for us. And and Coco, please correct me if this goes wrong here, but here's what happens. It's like, hey, this is KocoSports. We're Dave and I are getting old. We kind of don't have as much time to do this. We need some younger talent. Some people who really are passionate about this, who can really, do these shows and talk about wrestling. We want people who want to talk about everything. It doesn't matter. In fact, we'd love to have a podcaster for every company, and then everybody replies, yeah, Dave, I'd love to do a show with you. And we're like, no, 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 no. We don't mean do it with Dave. We mean just do a podcast for KocoSports. Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to, be there one-on-one with you, Dave, and share my thoughts. Okay, let's start over again. We want to know where we're losing you. We are having trouble broadcasting. We can't really do this. We need somebody to jump on and do it for us. And then it's just like, okay, Dave, I'll do it with you. Just let me know. I'm like, fuck. And then also we tell them, okay, if you're interested in this, just send us a short show. You can do it on anything. You could do it on like best tag teams of all time, best managers ever. We don't care. Just give us like a sample show just so we know what you got. And it's like, I don't know, okay, if you're nervous, you can put the video to private, just send us the link, and we'll just take a look at it. And people are like, yeah, I've just remembered, I got a dentist appointment. Talk to you guys later. So that's just kind of where we stand, as a channel and as host, and why things have been very sporadic.
And like I said, I notice it with a lot of people, especially when it comes to booking, they always say, give us time. And, the plan is, if Steve Carino is out of the air, me and Bearfriend are going to move back to America and make sure that we are out in the middle of nowhere, and we'll create content 24/7. My girlfriend, she's a blogger. We just create content. I write, stream, podcast. She blogs. You know what I mean? So it's like, finally I get to be with a woman that like shares my vision. And we are planning on moving back to America 2 years after Steve Carino, is out of the air. And then, like, we can rebuild from there. But until then, it's just got to be hit and miss. And I don't even know what to tell you. I mean, every day we get angrier and angrier at Japan just because I bought 3 houses, and all 3 houses people have been racist. And it's like, maybe it's a pattern. Maybe it's a pattern. So, yeah, and I kind of miss America. As far as WWE goes, a lot of people ask us about WWE. We are very short on time, and I made the mistake. I don't know, Boom Boom, you could say WWE here. I made the mistake of saying when John Cena steps down, the product will be better. If they had this piece and this piece and this piece, the product would be better. I believe that for years. I don't believe that anymore. I think the product will always be horrible in my lifetime. So I don't watch WWE. So if we did come back, we'd be one of those guys that piss off New Japan fans and AEW fans. But I don't know. What's your thoughts on the question of why don't we cover WWE anymore? I mean, well, first off, we had covered why we don't cover anything, but why WWE in particular, Booms? Do you want to add anything to that?
Well, I think it was just because of the mounting frustration. It's like, well, how come they did this? That doesn't make sense. And then, the response that we typically get was, well, if you don't like it, don't watch. And then, you can only hear that so many times. And finally, you're like, you know what? That's a really good fucking idea. Let's not watch anymore. It was just, and for people that we've talked to, we've read interviews from Court Bauer, former WWE writer, who now runs Major League Wrestling. When we had way back in the day when we had Krista Joseph on here, who was co-producer with Lucha Underground, who did work for WWE, then went back to WWE. It all appears to be like, it's like the same pattern. It's somebody will come up with an idea, and it'll actually be a pretty good idea, but once it goes to the other writers, once it goes through the agents, the producers, through Kevin Dunn and Vince McMahon himself, what you get, it just gets run through like this meat grinder, and that good idea has now been mangled, and that's what you see on TV. There's no consistent leadership. There's no consistent stories. I mean, it's just they brought Bobby Lashley in, and they made him just like another dude within like 3 weeks of him coming back. I mean, we're reading stories now that like Aleister Black, Shayna Baszler, these were people that were, getting some pushes, getting some, getting some momentum. Then Paul Heyman gets taken out of his position, and then it's, well, I don't get these people. I don't get it. I don't get what they're there, and then they're done. They made Cedric Alexander and Ricochet two just phenomenal athletes. Just whatever, they're there, and I'm like, it's like a company that doesn't reward you for watching. It almost like punishes you for watching, because if you watch, then things change on the fly. It's like it doesn't make sense. Like this guy gets a push for 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden now he's jobbing out, and it's just, finally I just had enough of it, and I was like, you know what? If I don't like it, why the hell do I drive myself crazy with this? And apparently I'm not the only one, because WWE's ratings have started to go down. I think it was this past week, Raw had one of the lowest non-holiday episodes of Monday Night Raw. It was like just right around 1.3 million viewers. And 1.3 sounds like a lot of numbers, but Coco, not even like, let's take Attitude Era out of the equation. I mean, what were the ratings looking like? Like the Ruthless Aggression era. That one, like Kurt Angle, Benoit, and Guerrero, and
I
even
don't.
was running around there.
Sorry, I don't have the best memory, but it was somewhere between 2 and 3. Like, I think it was floating around 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe closer to 3, if not over 3.
Yep.
So.
And I think it's just a matter of time until like the networks figure out that they bought a boat with a hole in it. Because, I mean, yeah, they do have a dedicated fan base. They do bring in guaranteed viewers, but they keep losing roughly, 10, 20% of their audience every year.
Yeah.
They'll lose, 10% of that, and then the next year they'll lose 10% of what's left of that. Then the next year they'll lose 10% worth of that. Finally these networks are going to realize, guys, we paid way too much for what we're getting.
Yeah. And, once the Steve Corino cures, or they fix that problem, that, you know what I mean? It's going to be a totally different ball game. It's going to be, you don't have that to say anymore, so it's going to be interesting afterwards. I just want to give a shout out to a classy guy that's always helped us, and his channel's blowing up as Wrestling Rantin'. So definitely check out Wrestling Rantin'. We don't agree on everything. We had a spout for the first time in a while, but yeah. Yeah. Because a lot of times, like, at Wrestling Rantin' is like, you and Coco agree on everything, and then like there was something we didn't agree on. But yeah, overall, yeah, just give it time. I'm gonna say something that I haven't thought about in a while, and we're gonna talk New Japan, we're gonna talk AEW, but I know this is gonna sound kind of douchey, but I used to be a really, really good wrestling booker and promoter. I outdrew John Cena. I've been paid by big companies. I had success with very little money. You know what I mean? It was like, cool. Oh, man, you got a job? Yeah, what did you do? Yeah, I did that with $100, $200, $300, and I had a local indie making a full-time living, and anyone that's in the business knows that's hard, especially if you're not a pro wrestler traveling the world. It's like, no, we did it locally. But 15-ish years ago, I had my last event, Tampa All Pro, Now or Never, and I left going, I don't think I'm ever going to promote wrestling again. You're burnt out. And I remember when I was a fan, there was a time where I was a fan, and I got burnt out, and I was like, I can do this better. You know what I mean? I can do this better with no fucking money. And I did it. And then, like, there was a time where, like, big companies are like, what if we pay you just to go away? I'm like, okay, I'll take that. You know what I mean? And I turned down almost every big fucking company because I was burnt out. Inner peace is very important to me. You can have the dream job, but if it's hell on earth, why bother having a dream job? And I remember leaving Tampa before Tampa even went. I remember my foot hit the ground. I was like, I'm never going to promote again. I'm like, I'm just burnt out. I just want to be a fan. I want to watch New Japan. I want to watch, anything else. I just, want to watch. I don't want to create content anymore. And then I got to a point where, like, now I'm always 2-3 weeks behind, but I also don't like to review it because I feel sometimes I'm too negative. I think, and it's more of a booking aspect. And there's a saying in writing, and I apologize to the original person that said this quote because I don't have your name memorized. When you want to read a book and it doesn't exist, you write it. And for the first time in years, I'm thinking about getting back into promoting. Like, I look at this, I'm like, this should be done, this should be done, this should be done. But if you've been doing it for too long, maybe it's time to write the book. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So for the first time in a really long time, I thought about if when I move back to America, like I said, after Steve Corino, 1-2 years, depending on how fed up we are and how long Steve Corino lasts. I love Steve Corino, by the way. It's just YouTube will strike us, even though we don't make any fucking money anyway. So, but I don't know. I'm trying to play along the rules. I'm trying to tiptoe to the tulips. But yeah, I'm thinking about like more and more. And in 15 years, I never thought about promoting. And it's, and not only that, but it's, we're asking to give us time, so it's been a hypocrite. But I notice, I watch Wrestling Rantin', and I love them. This is where something we disagree on. I watch other YouTubers and other podcasters and stuff. Usually I watch clips. You know what I mean? I'm big, like, besides Wrestling Rantin', I just catch clips. Like, if you're a podcaster and you're putting clips online, that's the best way to grab my attention, And I'm not saying the audience of me. I'm just telling you my viewing habits. You know what I mean? But there's a pattern. It's not just Wrestling Rantin'. Give us time, give us time, give us time, give us time. But what happens if it doesn't pan out? And to me, give us time is we need to find the excuse for this being bad. You know what I mean? Like, give us time. How did the Golden Lovers not main event? Oh, contracts. What happened to the Mysterious guy? Contracts. You know what I mean? And it came to this. Jay White won the title. I came back. People were like, come back and give it a thing. I gave my view. And sometimes I can be really harsh. You know what I mean? Especially Boom Boom, it. When I get riled up, I can just keep attacking. It's the New Jersey in me. And I attacked Jay White for 55 minutes, and then people were sad. And I was like, well, then don't ask me for my opinion. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, give it time.
No. Then they asked you, well, why do you hate Jay White?
Yeah. But, outside of that, but give it time. Has Jay White as champ paid off? Has the mystery opponent paid off? Has the Golden Lovers not main eventing paid off? You know what I mean? And it's got to the point where maybe, I want the ultimate in wrestling and I've become such a snob, or maybe I have to do my own. And this is my problem with New Japan. Like, I was going to make a video on it. I'm not even mad that Evil's the champ. I don't think he's worthy. That's a debate. I think the IWGP champ should be the rest in the world. I think Okada's literally... Tell me this ain't the case. Okada's like, hey guys, I can't go for the title because North American fans are angry. So I'll make up a title and pretend I don't want the greatest title ever. Great storyline. Great booking. But that, and also too, like, New Japan is playing the Japanese fans like a fiddle. Because, granted, I live in Japan and I go, I know a lot of Japanese wrestling fans. So I feel like, I kind of have a small... finger to the pulse. But because of Steve Corino, that bubble got smaller. Like, before I'd be like, oh man, I go to wrestling bars, I go to wrestling events, I go to wrestling things. I'm always talking wrestling with Japanese people. So I feel, but now, because of, Steve Corino, the bubble is very small. So I don't have the finger on the pulse as much. But the small group of friends I do talk about Japanese pro wrestling with, their excuse is, well, they're doing it for the North American fans. But like, man, that fucking sucks. Oh, it's North American fans. That fucking sucks. It's North American fans. And I kind of wonder if it's TNA fans defending New Japan too much, or is that just Ghetto being like, yo, bro, you thought that sucked? It's America's fault. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how it is in North America, but that's how it feels here in Japan.
Yeah, some scapegoats here.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, if the situation's different, like, if there's something bad that happens, you're like, oh, Naito's not champ. Don't worry, it's the Japanese fans. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I find it to be interesting because I was going to do a video, but then there's a part of me that's like, why? New Japan fans have become so custom of, and I was the first person on YouTube to fucking review New Japan. I remember people saying, why do you do this? And, Dave Meltzer did it before me, but before that, I don't think there's many, and I don't think Dave Meltzer went anywhere near as details as me, back in the day. And people are upset because the people that do know me are like, you're the New Japan guy, and you're not saying it's perfect, because nowadays everyone says it's perfect. Like, I think it was cool that Evil won the New Japan Cup. It's insane that he won the IWGP title. And not only that, but I also think it's wrong. I always have, and people are like, oh, don't do it by your own rules. Hence why I might write my own book. You can't have 2 upsets in a row. That's what you did. You booked 2 upsets in a row. And it's just like, come on, bro. Like, I just steal a line from iJapan. I talked to him the other day, on the internet. He's like, literally, my attitude is, wake me up when Okada and Ibushi matter. Like, why? Why am I going to watch, inferior wrestling? They're like, oh, North American fans. I'm like, well, fuck it. Tell us when you're ready to do Japanese fans. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my bubble's smaller. It's not what it used to be. My bubble, she ain't what she used to be. She ain't what. But, I do find it to be interesting. I just feel, and maybe this is why I got to write my own book. The champion should be the best wrestler in the company. Mm-hmm. Should be the best wrestler in the world. And I feel that Okada should be champ. I feel Naito should have been champ a long time ago. Part of booking is feeling the crowd, feeling it. The Golden Lovers should have went at it at WrestleMania. Not WrestleMania. Oh my God. I apologize times a million. At Wrestle Kingdom. And like contract disputes or contract things, that's not an excuse for failing. You know what I mean? Be like, oh man, I would have been a billionaire, but I didn't put the stocks in Walmart. It's like, who gives a shit? You're not a billionaire. So, to me, I just feel I'm a little worried that I want to write my own book so much that I might have to get back into promoting, and I have to find my smile. Because if it's not Kenny and Omega 5 or the Golden Lovers going at it, fucking don't call me. You know what I mean? And I know it's kind of bad, and I got to get out of that attitude. I don't know. Is it wrong to be thinking like this? I mean, I'm just having an open conversation with Boom Boom. Boom Boom, your thoughts on this whole situation?
On just like the New Japan booking, let's see here. I understood some things were going to have to change up a little bit because of the coronavirus, and I knew it was going to. And for one, let me just say, I was glad to see New Japan start running shows again.
Yeah, amazing. Mad props.
I also want to give a shout out to AEW for continuing to run shows during the pandemic and putting on some pretty good ones, I might add.
Yeah.
I'll even give props to NXT for also running shows during the pandemic. As far as booking goes, I think everybody's doing the best they can under the circumstances.
I disagree.
Well, no, hang on.
Okay, go on, sir.
Well, yeah, let me finish my point.
All right, go ahead, sir.
I think a lot of New Japan's talent is not able to go to Japan because they still have a lot of talent that's over here in the United States. So they're running shows over here. So that's good. I think also with Evil winning, I didn't shit on it. I still think it's better than Jay White, and here's why.
Oh, definitely. Go on.
Because with Evil, it made sense for them to take this step with him because this is the only other place that he had to go. It's like he's been tag team champion, God knows how many times. He's been intercontinental champion. He's been 6-man champion, and he's always been in the mix. I mean, hell, they gave him a win over Okada in the G1 a few years ago. I mean, it was like always he was knocking on the door of the main event. He was knocking on the door, being like a big time player, and so they finally pulled the trigger. No pun intended, on him. And the only thing that I disagreed with was the fact that it just became like a cop out to join the Bullet Club. It's like he's a bad guy. I know. We'll have him join Bullet Club. And it's just like, no, I don't really. I think especially since they brought in what's his name, Dick Togo, and I think he could have been a single star. Like just have Dick Togo as like his muscle, his backup, basically like his ghetto. And I think that would have worked out better, and it makes a lot of sense. Whereas, the reason why I didn't like it with Jay White was because Jay White was fresh off excursion. Jay White was, he had get to that point. I think it only held like the IWGP United States Championship, and there was plenty of places. There was plenty of things for him to do. There was plenty, and now when they made him champion, it's like, okay, now congratulations, you've just killed him because he's got no place to go. He's got Okay, so he loses the championship to Okada. Where the fuck does he go now? Does he? I mean, okay, he's going to win the never open weight. Whoop de doo. Who cares? But
Yeah.
I think that worked out a lot better. Um,
I just want to add something real quick. I think the big
mhm.
thing about the turn, and it was a gamble, had to do with merch. They have to keep selling that Bullet Club gear, and they took a
Mhm.
chance because Evil was selling a lot of merch. So they like, wait, the Bullet Club is mostly foreigners. They're stuck. We got to keep selling that Bullet Club merch. So I think they're like,
Yeah,
here's a merch seller. Let's bring him
t-
over. This
to
is
me,
this is my opinion.
I think Wrestling Random actually summed it up. He made it as okay in the short term, it's a great idea because I mean, right now, like half of Bullet Club is stuck in the United States. They can't go back. They can't get into Japan right now. So the Bullet Club is supposed to be this big, faction who, wins by, overwhelming their opponents by cheating through their numbers. Well, or they don't have that many people. And the people they do have, I mean, I'm sorry, but I really don't find Yujiro Takahashi, Jado, and Gato like, oh no, they're going to go in there and interfere. Wow, that's shocking. And this at least fixes that problem when you bring in Evil and Dick Togo into the fold. But in the long term, I don't think it's going to. Well, maybe this is going to be part of the storyline. At least I hope it is, because I'm like, so when all this blows over and they start getting people back together, I mean, it's like, do you really think Jay White's going to take orders from Evil? Do you really think the Gorillas of Destiny are going to listen to Evil? No. And I think, but I think it's okay for what it is. But also at the same time, I think it's just shitty how they fucking treated Naito because now I say there are three guarantees in life: death, taxes, and shitty Naito booking.
Yeah.
Because
Poor
this is two
Naito. Poor
times.
hug
This is
hug a loss. We got to bring back hashtag hug a
Yeah,
loss.
hashtag Hugalos. I mean, this is just two times they fucked Naito now. Two. One time you can go, okay, well, the first time was like a trial balloon to see if they could, if he would work as champion. Okay, it worked. Okay, let's get the belt off of him. We're going to do a big thing about it. Okay, guys, oh, no, we can't pull the trigger on it because we want to get the North American crowd, so let's put the belt on Kenny Omega. Okay, Kenny Omega's gone. Okay, well, let's go back to the original plan. Let's give Naito something big. Let's give him some. Nobody else did. I know we'll put two belts on him at the same time. Nobody else has done that. Good. Then they get him on there. Then the pandemic hits. They can't do anything. Then they finally get back, and it's like, okay, let's take the belt off. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, can the guy not get a decent fucking title reign? I mean, that's all I'm asking is a decent title reign. I'm not talking like an Okada 600 plus day 13 title defenses run, but just something decent. I mean, my God. I mean, right now, I mean, this is like Nakanishi and Chono levels of like fucking IWGP Championship reign for him, which I think is a fucking disgrace because the guy has, I mean, he did everything he was supposed to do. He wasn't connecting with the fans. He went on excursion, found himself, came up with a better character, connected with the fans, sold merchandise, sold tickets, packed people into the packed people into the stand, got people tuning in on New Japan World, and he was patient with you when you fucked him. He was patient with you. You put the belt on him, and then all of a sudden you take it back away. I'm like, what more? What more is he supposed to fucking do? I mean, this is where I feel really bad for Naito on a personal level. I mean, I know it's business, but personally, I feel bad for him.
Yeah, yeah. The booking of him has been absolutely horrible. He should have. Yeah, that's a whole other topic. Just stupid fan thing. when Naito beat Okada at Wrestle Kingdom, I was like, where were you? Where was it? Where were you when he first started? Where were you? It was so funny. The Okada fans had a quick smile about that. People also want to know about TNA. TNA, and I'm worried about New Japan falling in the same time spot. You can't say everything is awesome if it's not. And rumor has it, Andy Papst says TNA has been really good, but you got years of telling me it is really good. I'll check out TNA. I don't know if Boom Boom has. Um,
I've not, but I actually it popped up on my it comes on Tuesday nights here where I live, and I know it. I've got on demand, so I can go back and watch shows. I may do it because they signed Gallows and Anderson,
yeah, and
and
EC3 is returned.
yeah, EC3, Eric, basically all the guys who got let go from WWE got signed. And it's like, okay, well, maybe I could, maybe I should check it out. I don't know what I can't make a fair because I've not watched any of their product. I don't know if it's, you know, how they're running shows during the pandemic, but
Yeah, and
but
for
I'm willing to check it out.
ECW, TNA, future New Japan fans, you have to be careful because if everything is awesome, you have moments like this. Me and Boom Boom. TNA sounds awesome. Cool, 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 cool. Yeah. It like takes forever to come back because when it was absolutely fucking garbage, they did it. Even poor Wrestling Renton, love him. He does a TNA review and he like tweeted something like, "Dave's right. These guys are a pain in the ass." And I also want us to know about AEW, and then we'll just wrap it up after that.
Mm.
You want me to go first, Booms, or you want to go
Oh yeah,
first with AEW? Okay.
please go right ahead.
As far as AEW goes, I find it to be the most fun. I don't think it's a perfect product, but it's a fun product I like to watch. You know what I mean? I think the booking of Hangman Page was a home run, and I was wrong about that. Not a lot of people admit when they're wrong. I thought the booking of Hangman Page was a home run. And people also messaged me about my thoughts on Kenny Omega. I love Kenny Omega. He's one of my favorite pro wrestlers of, active, probably of all time. Not the most favorite, but, he's up there. I do love Kenny Omega, and I don't care how great AEW will be. They cost themselves a million fans with how bad Kenny Omega was booked. They cost themselves a million fans right off the bat. Hopefully they bounce back. I think December AEW was god awful, and now they're hitting home run after home run. And I don't know, it's not perfect, but it's enjoyable. And at this point in life, I think that's a huge win. Booms, your thoughts on AEW?
Yeah, it's not perfect. AEW's got its flaws. Like one argument that I was making this past week online was, it's like, well, why would anybody want to join the Dark Order? Because I mean, I kind of get the Dark Order, but also I don't get it in the terms of, and by the way, I'm going to get to the positives in just a second here.
Yeah.
But like one of the flaws with the Dark Order is, okay, so the whole idea of the Dark Order is they're basically like a cult, and they're luring in people who are down on their luck because it's like, hey, are you tired of losing? Well, come join the Dark Order, and you won't lose again. But you look at it, and it's okay. All the people who were no names that they brought in, I'm talking like five. I think it's what Alex Eagle, and I know Preston Vance and all these other people. It's like, well, they're still no names. People still don't know who they are. And also Reynolds and Silvers. There are no names. There were no names before. There's still no names now. They're enforcers. We're talking about Evil Uno and Stu Grayson. They can't win the big one. Their leader of all people, Brody Lee, he can't win the big one. With the exception of squashing jobbers on Dark, they can't. The Dark Order can't get a win to save their lives. At least not one that means anything. So, kayfabe wise, if I'm looking at this, why would I want to join Dark Order?
Yeah.
Because it seems like I'm going to have about the same luck going on my own as I am joining the Dark Order. I mean, the guys can't even fucking cheat their way to a fucking win. And so that's something that, and I think sometimes they get a little hokey. Like one thing that I didn't like was during the Stadium Stampede when they tried to drown Matt Hardy. I think that kind of crossed the line.
I giggled, but yeah, I could understand.
I was like, because remember, this comes in the wake of Shad Gasper. He drowned saving his son, and I think that.
Oh, really? I didn't know. I totally forgot about the timing.
Yeah, that came in the wake of that, and I was like, guys, that's that's kind of crossing a line. That would be like, it's one thing if like you use something like to bust somebody open. It'd be like another thing if you just straight up like fucking pulled a fucking knife on somebody.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, okay. If
but
you want to hit with some brass.
I imagine it just slipped under the radar. I don't think they did it to insult.
Yeah, no. I don't think they did either because I know it was part of like, they did as a way to transition. Matt Hardy doing that. Waters of Reincarnation where he popped up then as broken Matt Hardy. I know that's the transition they were using, but still, that's like one thing I kind of disagreed with. I think their women's division. It's getting.
I think it's getting better. It was a rough start, but it's getting better.
Yeah, it's just they keep shooting themselves in the leg with it because every time they start to get some momentum, somebody gets hurt.
Yeah.
Britt Baker got hurt, Chris Stantlander got hurt, and they've got some decent talent. It's just they can't really. I mean, you can't have like I think Penelope Ford showing a lot of promise. I like Hikaru Shida. They've got some of their talent. Uh, they're bringing in people. I like the idea to bring in Diamante and Evilise. I hope they find a permanent slot. What I wish they would kind of do, especially with the women's division, is I wish they would get on the phone with like AAA and some of these other people maybe some of the other companies that they made deals with, and why not bring in somebody that they're not using? Like for example, like in AAA, you could bring in somebody like Fabi Apache or Lady Shania, somebody that that's been there. I mean, they're just they're it's like I don't want to say overexposed, but they've been there for fucking forever, and they're really good. And maybe they won't, maybe their fans won't miss them as much, and bring them into AEW and have them specifically to work with talent, and maybe help them improve and get better, and then. They can. I mean, of course, they can squash the AEW talent. Beat people like Abaddon and other that. But it helps improve it because I think the women's division in AEW got off on the wrong foot because I think their plans got derailed. I think their original plans was to push Kylie Ray, but she asked for her release, and so she was out. And then there was Awesome Kong, but she couldn't get cleared medically to compete. So they had to go with the next best thing. The best plan that they had at the time was the woman with the most experience was Riho, but Riho can't speak English, which not her fault. And plus she had other commitments in Japan, not her fault. And so she did I think they did the best they could do. Now, as far as positives go, I would say that it has been really fun. Like Orange Cassidy has been a lot of fun. I liked when the best friends got brought to the ring by Trent's mom in her minivan. That made me chuckle. I like, people shit all over Orange Cassidy, but I don't understand why. He's like, he does what like a lot of people say that wrestling should be. He does less with more, and what he does is, he
It's
doesn't
so
feel like
different and original, so it scares the old timers.
exactly because well, but he does what the old timer said he should do. It's like he when he does something, it should mean something. So he's lazy the entire time. So finally, when he actually throws a legit super kick, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a huge deal. I think MJF is amazing. His promo where he basically ran down John Moxley and is now formally challenging for the AEW World Championship. I think that was an amazing promo, and I think there's room for everything. I think there's yeah, there's room for the flippy shit, but there's also room for the ground and pound. Like that's what I like about FTR being in there. They come right in on the pickup truck. Old school tag team wrestling. I think that fits in well because you have a variety of styles. I mean, it's like an all-you-can-eat buffet. Yeah, you got chicken fingers, right here, but if you go, two slots over, oh, there's some baby back ribs. I think there's a variety, and I think it all works. Um, I can't wait to see how they turn the corner with Kenny Omega. I love also Cody defending the television championship every
Oh,
week
I
against
love
a.
it. Yeah, with the indie guys.
I love that, man. I mean, this is like it's a television championship that's frequently defended on television.
And
My
hold
God,
on.
what a concept!
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Sorry, I just want
No,
to get this
go
point
ahead.
out real quick. For anyone that's saying it's a John Cena idea, please learn some fucking history. like, dude, I know I'm old, but if you think that's John Cena's idea,
No, that's not. I
yeah.
remember the days in WCW where they would have a match, and the part of the stipulation was, and this was primarily when a heel was a champion, is that it was that the television championship would only be defended in the first 15 minutes of the match. And so there would be like they'd be having a match, and Gary Michael Capetta would be saying there are only 10 minutes left for the championship to be defended. Okay, there are only 5 minutes. Okay, the time limit is expired. The match was still going. The championship is no longer on the line. I remember those days.
Yeah. Well, the open challenge thing has been around
Oh yeah.
way longer than John Cena.
Hmm.
I just want to add something else. MJF has to win that title. If MJF doesn't win that title because you need a heel, you might as well just pack up and let Dixie run this shit. You can't have too many WWE guys go at it, you know? And if you go entertainment, you go MJF. If you go talent, you go Kenny Omega. But I know a lot of people have been hinting at Kenny Omega going heel. I think it's too early. You know what I mean? But that's just my opinion. Yeah. So, and one more negative. Jim Ross, we get it. You're old and cranky. Start your own podcast. I love the dude. He's just like, man, I don't get it. Why are they doing super kicks? I don't get it. Like, 98% of his commentary is he doesn't get it. That's 98. And then Taz is like, you're right. This place does fucking suck, right, JR? I don't get it. Why are the ropes? It's like, what the fuck is going on? Sorry. It couldn't be a KocoSports podcast without a cheap jab to JR.
That could be, and I will say this commentary can be a double-edged sword because there are times when, especially during tag team matches, when it's not a tornado tag match and there's 4 men in the ring and the referee's just kind of like, slowly counting or not counting at all. And I think commentary brings it up, but I think it was Excalibur or somebody saved it going, well, Aubrey Edwards is being very lax here because she knows that, the AEW fans don't want to see this end in disqualification. So she's being lax. She's trying to get control of this, but also at the same time, I feel like you've got to step in there and try to get some kind of semblance of control in there, because otherwise, if the referees, it's going to be kind of like New Japan. It's like it's like Uno. How many times does Uno let fucking shit fucking slide? I mean, it's like we're not even talking like a title match. We're talking just like nothing on the line, like two dudes just throwing each other in the barricade, breaking out chairs, whacking each other. Look, using weapons, and it's just like, okay, guys, you shouldn't do that. And I'm like, okay, I can understand maybe not wanting to do that when it's a match for like the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, but when it's just like two dudes wrestling, just a standard match, nothing on the line, no, and you blatantly see like somebody smack somebody with like a chair, it's like, okay, and it's right in front of your face. It's like, bro, okay, if there's no rules, that's fine, but why bother having rules if you're not gonna, you're not gonna play into it? Or do it behind the referee's back.
Got it. Boom, boom. I'm on a hot tag here real quick. I'm going to give you the first league Corso, maybe the last league Corso, depending on how long we do this. Not so fast, my fellow Freds. Boom, boom. I love you with all my heart. I enjoy having these conversations. We're two old grumpy guys just fucking talking it. It's a great podcast. Granted, we don't keep it up enough. We don't advertise it. Whatever. I'm failing, but overall, it's a good idea. Two grumpy guys complaining, bouncing ideas off each other is a great idea. In this future company, if I make it or not make it, just the idea is there. You know what I mean? I wouldn't hire us to do play-by-play in color. I think it would be a horrible idea. I would get someone that's good at play-by-play in color. Taz and JR should be doing podcasts. They should not be doing color. Because like me and you were arguing over if Evil should booking and all that. Yeah, that's a podcast stuff. You shouldn't be saying it on air. But they say shit like a podcast all the time. Like, how often does Taz and JR look at each other with hearts in their eyes and roll their eyes? But yeah, this fucking sucks. Am I right, pal? It's like, it sure fucking does, buddy. You know what I mean? And Tony Schiavone's like, fuck my life. You know what I mean? I don't know. Stick to the podcast and blaming the fans. Fucking, I don't know. I just think they, it's as a podcaster and grumpy dudes, it's our job to complain and bitch and have a conversation. It's not our job to fucking put over talent. And that's what you guys are. You've become us. I know you blame us for everything, but you've become us. Go ahead, Boom's hot tag to you.
I got a question here. What do you think about AEW signings recently? They just announced that Eddie Kingston's been signed. They've signed Ricky Starks. They brought in Brian Cage. Now, granted, they brought in I think Matt Cardona. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but the former Zack Ryder, they brought him in. How do you feel about the recent signings here?
All right, let's hit it down the list because I've been punched in the head a lot. Start a list and I'll give my opinion, sir, and then you can bounce.
Okay, all right. I'm just going off the top of my head. Recent signings. So they brought in Brian Cage.
100 times billion, and I made fun of Taz a lot. Taz is a great manager. That's Taz's role. That is perfect. I love it. I know a lot of people
as the manager, yes. Yeah. And he even brought back the FTW championship. That goes way back.
Yeah, see, we call it down the middle, Taz. Sometimes we throw
Mhm.
you under the bus. Sometimes we say you're the greatest. Yeah, he's perfect for that, and that's an A+. All right, next.
Mhm. Uh, they also signed Ricky Starks.
I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't want to fucking lie. I don't have enough info on him, so
What
incomplete. What do you think?
I watched him on NWA Power, and he was somebody that they were really, really high on. They were somebody that they were kind of touting as like a future star. I mean, he's good now, but I think he's going to get better. So I was like, I didn't complain on that one.
Did Twitter cancel NWA Power, or is Twitter kind of full of shit?
No. Okay, if you're talking about the Cornette incident, it's just he pretty much quit after he refused to apologize for a comment he made. They
No, no, no,
kept.
that's not what I'm talking about, sir. I'm talking
Oh no
about,
no
is the
no oh no
NWA
no.
still in business? All right, go ahead, sir.
Officially, according to Mr. Pumpkins, they're still in business.
But no shows.
Yes, because of the Steve Carino virus.
Okay, okay, okay. So I never mind. I saw something on Twitter. I'm wrong. I apologize. Continue
Well, I
on, sir.
mean, that's the thing. It's like, is it done or is it officially done? It's like, no, it's not officially done, but it could be done. I think that's where the confusion is because Mr. Pumpkins, for those of you who don't know, talk about Billy Corgan, who is lead singer in the band Smashing Pumpkins. It was like, no, no, it's not over. We have canceled it, but yet they've lost Colt Cabana, they've lost Ricky Starks, they've now lost Eddie Kingston. Honestly, I'm waiting for Nick Aldis to pop up on AEW. To truth be told,
Yeah,
oh God, actually, I would like that. Anyway,
yeah.
speaking of that, Eddie Kingston is
A,
somebody else that brought
A
in.
plus. He should be a fucking main eventer for a long time. Amazing brawler, makes it seem real, and promos, fucking top notch. I give
Yeah,
this a double plus.
I'm not saying he's good at selling, but when he did that match against Cody, I legitimately thought he hurt his knee.
Yeah, it's good. It's good
Because he
shit, man. I
immediately
mean,
went to it and he was hot. Dude, in fact, Eddie Kingston needs to start talking to some people about selling because when Cody took on, I think it was Mark Quinn from Private Party, the storyline was that, Cody hurt Quinn's knee. And then you just saw Quinn, trying to, rub his knee and was still doing all this high flying shit. And it was like he was in pain doing it. And I'm like, bro, no, okay. You can probably get away with doing one spot like that, but you can't do that every spot because the whole idea is your knee is hurt. You're high. Okay, now it hurts to put pressure on that knee. So now you want to stay off that knee. You want to try to get Cody on the mat. You want to try to brawl with him. You want to try to do something else. And maybe if you got the champion dead in your sights, he's prone. You can get on the top rope and do like a moonsault or something. It hurts, but you do it because you feel like it's going to finish it can finish the champion. You can get the 1, 2, 3. You can get away with that, but you can't do every spot like, okay, I'm going to jump over the top rope and oh no, my knee hurt too. Oh God, it doesn't. I think maybe Eddie Kingston could probably teach people a thing or two about selling and psychology because if you hurt, you got to think, you got to put things in like in the context of if this were real, if I was really in a fight with somebody and they hurt my knee and it hurt to put pressure on my knee, what would I do? What would I do? Okay, well, first of all, I would try to, get my opponent down on the ground so that way, my knee is not a factor. I get him down on the ground, or I don't want him to go after my knee again, so I'm going to put that kind of lead with the other leg and try to punch the guy, uh, you know, something along those lines. But Eddie Kingston was good. Now, I don't know if they've been signed or not, but Diamante and Ivelisse is somebody they brought out. I really hope they sign them because I really felt like the women's division needs, some veterans there. And I wasn't too impressed with the Hikaru Shida Diamante match, but it was decent enough.
I hope they sign Everlease because she was on top of the women's wrestling world in Lucha Underground. She was such a hot ticket. So I hope to see her bounce back. I know she's been injured a bunch. I don't know all the details, but I'd like to see her shine again. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm a big fan of hers. All right, go ahead, sir.
All right, those are the two I can really. That's only two recent signings I can really think of, unless I'm just absolutely missing somebody.
All right,
Uh, but those are the. I mean, they brought on. Well, no, I was going to say like the Dark Order, but nobody knows who the fuck they are.
it doesn't matter.
That's not an insult. That's like they're people that have just come on recently. It's like Sarah
Yeah,
J. Sarah J, God bless it, dude. This is a testament to her. She got signed by AEW after they saw her in what was her seventh match
Oh, that's
of all
amazing.
time.
So good for her. Hopefully
God
she has a
bless her.
bright career. All right, Booms. I think this might be the end unless you have a topic, sir.
Nah, we're good. I think we're gonna be fine. We're gonna try to do this again, and it's a big
Give it
world out
time.
there.
Give it time.
Give it time, man. I mean, it's just like the same thing with like the coronavirus guys. I mean, there's just really nothing you can do except for wear your mask, wash your hands, stay away from some folks if you have to, and just we're getting through this. It sucks. Believe me, it sucks. And um, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try to end this on a light note. Let's just try to get some levity here. Back when I was a kid, I used to ask why my great grandparents, not my grandparents, my great grandparents, why they would always, like if they would, why they always had a garden, and they would always save vegetables from the garden. They would can it, they would put it in bags, they would freeze it, and they never would throw anything away. Like I could go out to my great grandfather's barn, and there would just be like some kind of like tool or chemical or something from like as far back like the '60s or something, and they always had this stuff. And I kind of asked the question, it's like, what do they do? And they explained, of course, my parents explained to me that my great grandparents were they came up during the Great Depression. So, that was a very rough time. And, and so that part of that generation never really threw anything away. They always stockpiled food because it was always just in case what happens if that happened again.
Yeah.
And I guarantee that someday we're going to be old and we're going to start doing some stuff. They're going to be like, well, why are our grandparents, wiping all this stuff down? Why? And it's like, oh, that's because they're part of that COVID generation.
Yeah.
You know,
So.
we're going to be part of that, and and we are going to be exhibits one day because this is going to go down in history. This is like what we're living right now. What we're doing right now is going to go down in a history book. This is going to be a chapter in a history book that kids are going to read about and they're going to take tests on. I want you to realize that. And then, we're going to be old, and our grandkids are going to come to us and go, "Yeah, we're studying the great pandemic of 2020. What can you tell me about that?" And we're going to be like, "Sit down," and I'm going to have to do like a shot of whiskey first. Let me tell you about this fucking pandemic. That's going to be us someday, and we're also going to be relics because, they're going to be, oh, there's our crazy uncle. He was born back in the 1900s.
Nice.
So everybody, please just hang in there. I know it sucks. Believe me, I'm just as pissed off as you. I'm just as frustrated as you guys. But you know what? This is just forging our metal right now. That's what we are. Basically we're pieces of iron. We're being forged right now. And this is gonna be, and this will be over. This will be over someday, and we'll go back to life as normal. Just hang in there. That's all I can really say. That we're stronger.
Be safe and keep your humanity. Don't be one of those people that are just ruining other people's lives. I know it's a stressful time, but just keep your humanity about you. Shout out Wrestling Rantin'. If you need wrestling content that isn't two old bums talking about it, I think we both agree Wrestling Rantin' shows are pretty amazing. He's a great guy. Also, follow me on twitch.tv/KocoSports. It's my new passion. And pre-order my book, Lucky the Orphan. It's loosely based off my life. It's about an orphan growing up in New Jersey in the 80s. And he would do anything for Nintendo. And, Operation Freak Show. Thank you for those that bought it. It was very, very dark. And now this one's a lot lighter mood, I'm going to try to make books for everyone because it got to the point where after Operation Freak Show, I'm like, I got this story for a cartoon. And like, now you're the dark guy. You're the guy that goes too far. Like, okay. But I love you guys. And Booms, thank you. So hopefully we can do this again. And just give us time. Give us time. Give it time. With that, I am over. Ba-na-na-na-na-na. Hey, ba-dum-bum-bum.